Welcome students to this session of TY BSC IT Distance Education Solved Question Paper Series. Again, I repeat, this is for distance education, people who have taken admission in TY BSC IT and they are doing via distance education. So in this video, I'm going to go and solve the most awkward questions for TY BSc IT topics, right? So I'm going to start first with ASP.NET and C#, and then I will extend this to other topics as well. So this complete video series is divided into small parts. So I'm going to take three questions and solve them one by one. So every video will be having three questions which have been most awkward. So most awkward, when I mean, is that at least they should occur twice. So if they have occurred twice, I will go and solve them, right? So you can see that at this moment I have two question papers before me. So I'm starting with ASP.NET with C#. So I have at this moment December 29, 2015 one paper, and then there is a April 2015 paper before me. Now this TY BSc IT Distance Education C# paper is of 100 marks and the duration is 3 hours, and you have to attempt at least 20 questions. So that means that every question comprises of 5 marks. So remember, duration 3 hours, total marks is 100, and you have to attempt at least 20 questions, and definitely you have options. So if you see, they normally have like 7 sections like this, and in each of the 7 sections, you will have options of 3 like this, and in one of the section, the first one of the section, you will have an option of 2, right? So total 20 questions you have to answer, and the duration is 3 hours, and every question is of 5 marks, right? So let us pick the common questions between both of them. Okay, one of the questions which I can see which has occurred in the April 2015 is, what is the importance of web config file in any web application? And the same question has occurred here, but with a slight twist: write a short note on web config file. So let us go ahead and understand what is this web config file, and let us try to answer it. So as the name says, web.config, right? And that's what it does. So it provides configuration information to your ASP.NET application. You can see that I have created a simple web application over here, and when you create a web application in ASP.NET, so you have your pages, your source code, and you can see that there is a web.config file over here. So in this config file, configurations are provided. For example, at this moment you can see there is a configuration here saying that which .NET framework my web application will use, right? So you can have various kind of configuration. You can have a connection string, for example. So if you want to provide a connection string, then you can say, okay, connection string, add, and give some name here, like let us say whatever database, right? And then the value saying that this connection string will point towards localhost, right? So the web.config file provides configuration data to your application, and the biggest benefit of putting all these configurations into your web.config is that you don't have to hard code things inside your source code. For example, now let us say that I have a website and I want to put the thought for the day. So every day, I want to go ahead and put a new thought for the day, right? So what I can do is, rather than going and hard coding in the application, I can go and put it in the web config file. So in the web config file, I can go and say that, okay, there are some application settings, right? And in the application setting, there is something like saying, right? Saying of the day, right? So today the saying of the day is learn new things, right? Something like this, right? And then what I can do is I can go to the go to my code here, and I can say like okay, so response.write, and I'll say that, okay, this is application configuration. So configuration manager dot app settings. go and read the value saying of the day from the web config file, right? Okay, so now if I run this application, if I do a control F5, we should see learn new things. And tomorrow if someone says, you know what, like I want to go and change this value for, you know, again, I don't have to go and now change that value inside the source code, right? I can say that, see over here, like be nice to people, right? Be nice to people, right? And after that, if I go ahead and I reload this, be nice to people, right? So you can see like configuration data is now not hard coded in your code. So web.config file provides configuration data to your ASP.NET application. Now one thing which is very important to note is that, you know, this question is of 5 marks. Okay, you can see that write a short note of web config file, you know, so attempt any 3, so that means that this is of 5 marks, right? In the same way over here as well, write what is the importance of web config file, again it is of 5 marks. So that means that you have to at least put down 5 points in your paper. Now one of the tips, you know, which I want to give here about BSC IT answers is that TY BSC IT answers is that the questions normally are of 5 marks, right? So try to put 5 points, and if possible try to use the format of what, why, how, when and where, right? So with this 5 things, you know, 5 points gets completed. For example, now for the web config file, first in the what, put the definition of the web config file, right? Second, talk about why do we need web config file. For example, we need web config file because we want our configuration data to be flexible, right? How should we use it? So talk about the source code of the web config file. When and where it is. For example, now if you look at the web config file, the web config file is located where? It is located in this root folder, right? So basically whenever you are answering the question, try to use the what, why, how and when format, right? So what we'll do is now we will take a 5 or 10 seconds of pause, and in that 5-10 seconds of pause, let us try to put an answer around this whole thing, and that answer you can write in your paper, you know, when this question occurs. So this completes the first question, which has occurred twice, one in the year of one in April 2015 and the other in December 2015, and that is the web config file. So let us go ahead and revise this and we'll see that how we can write the answer in the paper. The next question, which is common between both of these papers, are this one. This one is like, I've seen it occur not only in the TY BSC IT, how do you say, TY BSC IT distance education, but also I've seen this question occurring in the regular papers as well, right? So in the regular papers also I've seen this question. So explain at least 5 properties of the text box control. And here it is, list and explain 5 properties of text box control, right? So this question is again common between both of them, so let us try to answer it. So a text box control, now remember it's of 5 marks, so 5 properties, so we have to know it. So what I will do is I will run you through 5 important properties, you know, which a developer uses, and must be you can talk about those properties in the paper, right? The first property here is the text property. So if I go and click on this text box here, you can see there's a text property. This text property actually sets a text value. For example, I can put here value type something here, right? So if I run this, it actually goes and sets a value of the text box. So the first property which you can put into your mind is the text property. The text property sets a value to the text box, right? So if you go and see the output very quickly, it is popping up. There it is. There it is, right? Type something here. Okay, so first one is a text. Second one property, which I see people using it, is the fore color or the back color. So I'll take up the back color. So normally people want to give a background color, so I can go and give a light blue, right? So again, this property is very commonly used. So one is the text and the other one is the background color. So I've changed the background color to light blue, and there it is, right? Second property. The third property, which is very much used by people, is the text mode. Sometimes, you want the text box to be like this, simple one, but sometimes you want to go and write a paragraph like an address, right? So at that time, this single line text box cannot work, right? So you can go and make it multi-line, right? So if you make it multi-line, it becomes something like this, right? You can see now this is multi-line, so I can go and type a lot of things over here, right? Okay, so text mode. So text mode actually helps you to go and make it a password and make it a date and time. For example, if I say date, right? For example, if I just go and make it a date, then I see a date box. So if I do a refresh, you can see now a date calendar, right? So again, a very interesting and important property which I feel, right? So text for setting the text box, background color, right? And the text mode, right? Text mode to set it is say single line or multi-line, right? The next property which I feel very important is the enable property, like enable and disable. If I go and say this is false, then I cannot do anything with the text box, so it becomes disabled. You can see. So a lot of times, you want people to not type something in the text box, enable it, disable it, then this is the property which is important, right? And the other property which I feel, the last property, fifth property, which is important and people use it, is the tab index. So here is the tab index. So basically, what is a tab index? Now think about it. You have 2-3 text boxes in your screen, right? Like this. Okay, and let me take this text box here at the top, like this. Okay, now when I go and run this, so let me go and do a reload, right? Now when I tab here, you can see when I do a tab, it comes to this text box. Now I don't want him to come here. When I do a tab, he should come here first. Okay, let me disable this. I think because it is disabled, it's a problem. You cannot tab on a text box which is disabled, right? So let me enable it as true, right? So now what I want is let's control F5 again. It is always important that you demonstrate, you do practicals, just don't by heart the answers. So that's why I'm trying to demonstrate the practicals. Now you can see now it is tabbing well, but look at the tab. It goes here, then tabs, and then tabs here. So after that it goes somewhere. I don't know where it goes. So what you want is you want now you can see when I say tab, it goes here, and then I say tab, it comes here, right? Now I want him to tab like this. I want him to tab from here to first here and then here. Okay, at this moment the tab is happening from from this to this and then this. I want it to go from here to here to here. So you can see tab, 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 right? So I want it to go tab and then say tab like this and then tab like this. Okay, so that's where the tab index is. So what you do is you go here and you say, so the first text box tab index is 0, right? The second text box tab index is, let me put it like this over here, right? Second text box tab index is 1, right? And the third text box tab index is 2, right? How? So like is 2. So now if I do a reload, now look at this. So when I do a tab and then a tab, where it went? it's going somewhere else. Tab, let me see, this is 0, this is 1, and this is this is 2. That's right, isn't it? So why isn't it? So basically, let me check again. It's going somewhere. It goes from here to the browser, right? But basically the tab is meant for, when you say tab, right? So that's what the tab index is. The tab index helps you to actually go and set your tabs with a proper sequence, right? So 5 properties we discussed. I don't know why the tab index is not working. I need to look into it, but I hope that the concept is clear. So first property which is there is the text property, right? The second one which I talked about is the back color. Then I talked about text mode. Then I talked about the enable, and then I talked about the tab index, right? So 5 properties. Go ahead, write your answer, and I hope that you will get the 5 marks. The next question which I find common between both of these papers are write a short note on garbage collection. And again over here I have explained the term JIT compiler and garbage collector. So when you talk about garbage collection, you have to talk about JIT compiler. So both of these questions are the same questions, right? So over here there is nothing to demonstrate practically, but let me explain you what exactly is all those things, right? Now what happens, so you have a .NET code. So you have some kind of a .NET code like this, okay? Now this .NET code, if it has to run inside a machine, right, inside a hardware, it has to get compiled to a binary code, first thing, right? But in .NET what happens is, it does not get compiled to binary code. It first gets compiled to an intermediate language code or a IL code. Okay, this IL code you can think about is a code which is not fully binary. Okay, so you have the main source code, and this source code gets compiled into a IL code, right? Now when the application runs, so when somebody goes and clicks on the application and starts the application, there is a thing called as JIT, just-in-time compiler. This just-in-time compiler comes in and converts this IL code into machine code. Remember that at the end of the day, if your application has to run, the application has to compile into a machine code. If it is not getting compiled into a machine code, then it won't run, right? Everything, all the softwares, whatever is running inside a computer has to get compiled into a machine code, right? So what happens is, in .NET, first thing, when you go and you hit build over here, when you say build this solution, rebuild this solution, internally it goes and compiles it into an intermediate language code, termed it as a IL code. But when somebody goes and runs the application, at that time internally there is a person called a JIT. He runs and he goes and he converts that IL code into machine code, right? So basically it is a two-step process. First, converting it into IL code, and then from IL code it gets converted into the machine code or the assembly language by using JIT. So that was the first part of the answer, right, for this question. But there is a second part of the answer also, a question also here, the garbage collector, right? So what exactly is a garbage collector? Again, it's a theoretical question, so I will answer it theoretically. There is nothing to demonstrate here. Now, what is a garbage collector? A garbage collector is a background process which keeps running when your .NET application is running. And it goes and it cleans any kind of unused memory or memory, which is not needed. That memory it tries to claim back and it gives back to your operating system. For example, now you can see that there is a method here called as page_load method. Let us say that in this method you go and you create two objects like O1 and O2, right? You can see that there are two objects O1 and O2, and both of these objects are acquiring some kind of memory. Now both of these objects which are using this memory, that memory is not needed, or those objects are not needed after this point. So after this point, we do not want O1 and also we do not want O2, right? So in other words, we have to clear the memory, right? So the developer has to go and write some clearing code over here, like O1 is equal to null or something, right? So he has to actually go and write some cleanup code of the memory, okay? But now what if the developer forgets? Normally developer, they work on projects, which are having tight deadlines, and it is very much possible that, they can forget to write up the cleanup code for cleaning both of these memories, right? And if they do so, if they forget to do so, which is very much possible, they are humans at the end of the day, what will happen is your application will keep consuming memory. It will not give back to operating system, and then after some time your RAM has been used completely, right, sucked up, and your application and your machine has to restart, isn't it? So basically you need some kind of a mechanism, which can prevent this problem. And that's what the garbage collector does. So what the garbage collector does, it comes now and then, it comes undeterministically. Undeterministically means we do not know when he will come, but he will come like must be after 1 second, 10 seconds, nobody knows at what time he will come back. There are a lot of criteria which decide, when he comes back. So he will come back, he will come to your application and say, okay, so is O1 needed? Is O2 needed? So if O1 and O2 is not needed, he will go and claim the memory and give it back to your operating system. So with this mechanism, the developer does not have to look into cleanup of .NET objects. He can concentrate on his project, he can complete his project, and the memory cleanup, the memory handling, or the memory issues are all handled by the garbage collector. So garbage collector is nothing but it is a background process which looks into your application and hunts for objects whose memory is unused or is not needed. And once he finds these kind of memories, he goes and he cleans up the memory and gives it back to the operating system. So that brings us to the part 1 of the video, and in this video we covered 3 questions. One is around web config file, the other is around the garbage collector and JIT, and the last one was around the text box, 5 properties of the text box, right? So just a quick information for you guys. We have a crash course, in Mumbai, which we conduct. It's a 2 days crash course. It happens every Saturday, Sunday, and it happens every Monday and Tuesday, right? So in case you are interested in that crash course, you can come and attend that crash course. Quickly, what we do in that crash course is we cover 50 questions. We cover 50 questions of paper of BSC IT for a particular topic, for a particular syllabus, right? And if you just think about it, you have to answer 20 questions, right? So we pick up those 50 most awkward questions and we cover them practically. We give you short notes around it so that you can go and crack the test, right? And just quickly, so one is that you can call us on this number and you can talk about the course which is happening in Mumbai, and this is only for TY BSC IT distance education. This course is specifically for TY BSC IT distance education. The second thing is, if you go and share this video on your Facebook account, right, you get a 500 rupees discount. You get a 500 rupees discount and you get this ebook. You can see that I have a very small ebook here, and this ebook has a lot of questions solved around C#, right? Most awkward questions which are solved around C#, right? So you can see a beautiful ebook with proper diagrams, snapshot, right? And everything. So go ahead, share this video on Facebook. Let other people know that how to crack a BSc IT distance education course. And if you're interested, call us on Andheri location on the following phone number, and we can discuss ahead. Thank you very much.